I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Dan. Gentlemen, are there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
No, sir.
None.
Do we have a motion to accept this agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to move right into our presentations. We have some rather great presentations to make tonight. First presentations for Holding Hands for Haley Foundation Incorporated. I'm sure most people in here know the story of Haley and the fantastic struggle she had. And I think the whole county's better for having known Haley and known of her struggle. Would the parents please come forward? This is an official county citation. The Holding Hands for Haley Foundation. Whereas Allegheny County government wishes to publicly recognize the establishment of the Holding Hands for Haley Foundation Incorporated. And whereas this organization was founded in memory of Haley House, a native of Allegheny County who lost her life to brain cancer at the tender age of 9. And whereas the Holding Hands for Haley Foundation is led by President Richard House and Executive Director Jennifer House, parents of the inspirational and tenacious hero, Haley House. And whereas the individuals associated with the Holding Hands for Haley Foundation are committed to increasing awareness about all types of pediatric cancer, supporting in many ways the families of children who are fighting cancer every day and financially contributing to pediatric cancer research. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners, wish to encourage the commendable endeavors of the Holding Hands for Haley Foundation. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Allegheny County, Maryland, to be affixed this 20th day of August in the year 2015. This is signed by all three county commissioners, William R. Valentine, Creed V. Brody, and Jake C. Comments?
Oops, you want to get Brad, did you get that?
I'm sorry, I didn't. Thank you.
We'll just stand up, Vic. Got two more to
First, I'd like to thank the county commissioners and the county administrator for giving us an opportunity to come forward today and kind of discuss what Holding Hands for Haley Foundation is all about. Everyone knows that Haley was 9 years old. She was a native of Allegheny County who bravely fought brain cancer for almost 2 years. She went to heaven on October 23rd, 2014 after capturing the heart of this community and beyond. We, as her parents and as friends and family, have decided to create a foundation on her behalf with a vision to provide hope to families of children fighting cancer in memory of Haley. Our mission is to raise awareness and funds for pediatric cancer research and to spiritually and emotionally support families of children who are still fighting. Just a couple introductions. Myself, Buddy House, the president of the corporation there, Jen House. My wife is the executive director, Nikki Job. Vice President Angie Patterson is treasurer, Sarah Bennett is secretary. We also have board members Jason Bishop, Molly Moran, Julie Hardy, David Sandvik, Ashley Rice, Katie Blank, Jason Bennett, and Mandy Lindenberg. Some facts about childhood cancer. This is not a rare disease. 1 in 330 children will be diagnosed with cancer by the time they are 20 years old. In the last 20 years, only 2 cancer medications have been specifically developed for children. 2/3 of childhood cancer survivors will have long-lasting chronic conditions from treatments that were developed for adults and used on children. Despite these statistics, less than 5% of the federal government's funds for cancer research are dedicated to childhood cancer each year. You'll actually see a lot of groups talk about the more than 4%, and that is what this is derived from. The foundation has consulted with the doctors that Haley had at Johns Hopkins to determine how to best achieve the greatest impact with the funds that we raise. And we have identified several specific research organizations and identified them as the recipients of any kind of funding that we do receive. The foundation is currently in the process of filing for a 501c3 nonprofit status with the IRS. We're hopeful to achieve this by the end of 2015, so that any 2015 donor would have the tax credit benefit. We do have a website at this time, www.holdinghandsforhaleyfoundation.org. We also have our Facebook page. September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and gold is the color representing this cause, much like pink represents awareness for breast cancer in October. We invite everyone to go gold in September with us. Obviously, we have a lot of green on. Green was Haley's favorite color, and gray, it also symbolizes the month of May, where brain cancer is recognized as that month as well. So, and just as a note here, that all of the funds raised, they're not focused solely on brain cancer. We're actually making sure that we cover all pediatric cancers as best we can. Some of the upcoming events that we do have in the month of September, we have a September Go Gold campaign. A number of the local youth and high school sports teams have partnered with the foundation by purchasing gold socks and gold awareness ribbon headbands, and also some gold ribbon stickers that will be affixed to helmets and those type things. And we do have some of those left to available for teams that want to participate further. Jen actually is the contact, and I have some more information on that if anybody is interested. And then lastly, a mention here for the Holding Hands for Haley Foundation Golf Tournament, Friday, September 25th at Four Sisters Golf Course. Tee off at 9 o'clock. I think registration starts at 7:45. And we're currently seeking tournament sponsors from the area businesses and groups. And there's a variety of levels there for the different sponsors. Sponsorships can be mailed to the foundation at the P.O. Box 1863 here in Cumberland. Any 4-person teams must be registered by September 14th. We do also, it is $75 per person, but it does include refreshments, dinner, and a couple gift items as well. So I'd like to thank you once again for allowing us to be here and show support that you have given us. And thank you to all of Team Haley for still fighting with us and for the littlest of cancer fighters.
Okay, our next presentation is for Elks National Patriotism Week proclamation. Mr. Brian Westphal? Anybody else here from the Elks?
Yep. They coming uphill?
They're coming.
Oh, wait, Dennis, has it been a year or so already since it? It sure does. Sir, good to see you. Mr. Westphal. I'm not.
You did hear me.
Nah,
I'm not contagious. You can get
I'm trying to come over here on this side so we're not all.
Okay.
Okay, we have an official Allegheny County proclamation. Whereas the benevolent and protective Order of Elks, through its constitution, is a patriotic order, and whereas the order promotes the idea that the citizens of this nation live in freedom, won through the great sacrifices and many tribulations which have provided the foundation for a free, prosperous, and independent life. And whereas we realize that each generation must work to maintain its freedom. Otherwise, through carelessness or indifference, the rights and liberties enjoyed may vanish. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize this freedom and to honor the nation which provides it, the United States of America. Now therefore, we, the Allegheny County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim September 6th through 12th, 2015 as National Patriotism Week in Allegheny County, and urge citizens to join with the benevolent and protective Order of Elks in expressing gratitude for the privilege of citizenship in the United States of America. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Allegheny County, Maryland, to be affixed on this 20th day of August in the year 2015. This is signed by all three county commissioners, William R. Valentine, Creed V. Brody Jr., and Jacob Shea. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you for all you do.
Commissioner, you called my name. I'd like to introduce the rest of the group here, if I may. This is Dennis Wilson. He's our current exalted ruler, or president, if you will. Cecil Smith is a past exalted ruler, and he's our Veteran Services representative. And where did Chuck go? Oh. Chuck is our head trustee,
Thank you.
Charles Bond, sorry.
Chuck,
Yes.
if you get your picture, you could, yes, please.
Come on up here.
You could probably find someone in the audience and take a picture for you there, if you like.
And we will be sending those to you through Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Cecil's going to say a few words for all of us.
You take that. Very few.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, John. You sitting down already, or?
As a representative of the Frostburg Lodge 470, we are very oriented to the veterans. Little known fact, after World War I, the Elks were the first to initiate a hospital dedicated to taking care of the veterans. We do at Frostburg Elks honor veterans on the 4th of July at the Derby Day. That's one of the main things. We have Flag Day, which is mandatory for all Elk Lodges. All Elk Lodges also have a veterans organization that they take care of anything that happens to veterans within their jurisdiction that they can take care of. We in Frostburg gather donations to take down to Martinsburg to the hospital down there. We try to make 2 trips a year, nothing less than $500. And over the past 17 years, we've gathered over $20,000 to go down there. We're not patting ourselves on the back. This is something that we're dedicated to do. We also visit the nursing home down there, and a little chance of trivia on the, I walked into the dining area and tapped this young fellow on the shoulder and said, the Elks are going to give you $15 worth of coupons that you can use at the commissary. And he turned around and he looked at me and said, oh, he said, I can get some Kentucky Fried Chicken then, huh? So he was eating dinner, but he was thinking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. We have in plans now to have a dinner in November for the veterans. In Frostburg Elks, we have 85 veterans out of the 307 members that we have up there. And we try to maintain some kind of a meeting type thing that we can honor these veterans anytime we get the chance. So Elks share and Elks care. That's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we now have one more proclamation. Christy Cuthbertson, Director of Behavioral Health, Allegheny County Health Department, and Christine Delaney, Director of Behavioral Health Prevention Services, Allegheny County Health Department. Ladies?
All right. How are you? All right. That's another invitation.
I know, this is an invite. Mr. Everly.
You can't read anyway. There's no picture
Yeah.
there.
I almost need pair of glasses to see it.
Okay, this is an official Allegheny County proclamation. Whereas behavioral health is an essential part of health and one's overall wellness, and whereas the benefits of preventing and overcoming substance abuse and mental disorders are significant and valuable to individuals, families, and the community at large. And whereas prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can do and recover from substance use and mental disorders. And whereas every individual should guide anyone in need to seek the multifaceted behavioral services offered by the Allegheny County Health Department. And whereas people in recovery achieve healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally, and contribute in positive ways to their communities. Now, therefore, we, the Allegheny County Commissioners, proclaim September 2015 as National Recovery Month in Allegheny County. Join the Voices for Recovery, visible, vocal, and valuable. Signed by all three county commissioners, William Valentine, Creed Brody, and Jake Shane.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Sure. Thank you very much. We'll get a picture of everybody.
Chris, I'll be sending it to you. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
I will be brief. What I want to say is first that September is National Recovery Month, and I think so many times when we talk about recovery, people think that that means strictly addiction. Recovery is also from mental health disorders. So we try to celebrate both of those, and both of these are very highly treatable. There is help out there, and it's available. And we're doing a couple of events in September that we would like to invite everybody to. They are both completely free. They're open to the public. Anyone is welcome to come. First one is on Wednesday, September 9th. It's at 1 o'clock at the track at Allegheny College. There's a registration at 12:30, so we do 8 laps. You can do as many or as little as you like, but if you do walk the 8 laps, you're registered for a grand prize. There's several prizes that are drawn throughout. They are very nice prizes. The grand prize is really nice, but I'm not allowed to tell what that is. You just have to come to find out. It's nice. So we invite everybody to come to that. So registration at 12:30. It actually starts at 1 o'clock. And I do believe this is our 4th annual event that we've done. And each year it seems to get bigger and bigger, so we're praying for sunshine. Second thing we're doing, this is the first time we've done anything like this. This is new for us. We are going to do a special event. It's called a signature event. And we're doing a screening. There's a movie called Behind the Orange Curtain. And as many of you know, there has been, there's a prescription drug problem going on in our area with pills, with heroin, with the opiates. You're hearing this all over the place. This film looks at Orange County, California. And when you look at this, my first thought was, how in the world does that relate to me? I don't live in California. This is a really rich area. It is amazing how much this film takes on what we're seeing. So we really ask that you come and see that. The film is at 4:45, and then we're going to go till 8 p.m. We also have giveaways. We have an expert panel afterwards. There's going to be light refreshments first, the film, then the expert panel. We have a really good panel, and we actually have as our facilitator, her name is Tracy Myers-Preston, who was the head of the Maryland Addiction Directors Council. So it was very, very good that we actually got her to do this for us. And the grand prize for this, which I'm allowed to tell, is a laptop. So again, this is free, so please come out. We hope everybody is there and has a good time. That one is held in the auditorium at Allegheny College. And if you have any questions, feel free to call out the health department. We'd be glad to give you information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, we'll now move into our first public hearing for the evening. It's a road closing petition, Quint and Lisa Ann Milburn. The road closing petition to close a certain paper street lying and being on the southerly side of Astor Avenue between Flower Street and Ginger Street in the community known as Potomac Park. As you'll recall, we did the opening on this a few months ago. Been a long, drug-out process. At this time, I'd like to ask, is there anybody here to speak against this petition? Gentlemen, since we didn't have anybody speak against this at the opening hearing, there's no one here speaking against it tonight, I would ask for a motion to accept this.
So moved. Can we close it tonight?
Yeah, we can close it tonight.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Thank you.
Okay.
No, that was Jim Everly. He was here standing there. He did such a good job, nobody spoke. It's good.
That's your government at work.
Huh?
That's your government at work.
Yes. It's been
All right, our next hearing is Solid Waste Management Plan 2014-2024. Public hearing with Sierra Wakefield.
So tonight is a public hearing for the solid waste management plan. Do you have anybody signed up to speak about it?
There's no one signed up.
If anybody does have any comments on the plan, they can send them to me, any written comments, and we can address those before the plan's adoption. Okay,
Sierra, if anyone hasn't had an opportunity to review the plan, can we direct them at this time?
Of course, yes. Thank you.
Okay, to the county's website?
County's website, the recycling webpage has a button that says plans, and the plan is under it, and a list of the summary of changes that were made. All right.
Okay, thank
What do
you.
you want to speak on this, or?
If I could.
You can, sir.
Very briefly.
Sir, certainly.
Good evening. I'm Woody Getz. I'm the chair of the Solid Waste Management Board. The remarks I'd like to make have not much to do with the actual plan. The board believes in it. That's obviously why we sent it on to you folks. But I knew I could be here tonight and wanted to take the moment to recognize the efforts of the board. They worked over months and months and months, over several calendar years, to get this done. We appreciated the support of the Public Works Department under Paul Kale's leadership, the representation for Steve Young from that department as well, and since saying goodbye to her, unfortunately, but the retirement of Terry Bennett, who served for the long, long time, I think about 14, 15 years as recycling coordinator, and pulled these things together from week to week, month to month on our behalf. And we're also glad now to have Sierra Wakefield here and kicking it off in terms of actually getting it approved by the community. So thank you for these couple minutes. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Woody, and as you go back to your seat, we was going to recognize you as Woody Getz, Commissioner from Frostburg Town Council, so thank you, sir. So with your dual roles, so.
Commissioner of Public Works, kind of fit.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Sierra.
Thank you, Sierra. Okay, we'll move into our action agenda now. Code Home Rule Bill 6-15, Establishment of County Homestead Credit Percentage. Jake, you want to speak on this?
Commissioners, it seems like this has been a long process, but we're getting to the end of it. So the homestead property tax credit, right now we have the 19th most generous in the state, and the least generous in all of Western Maryland. What this would do is make us the 5th most generous tax credit in the state and the most generous in Western Maryland. So we don't control your assessments. The state does that, but we do control when your homestead tax credit can kick in. And right now it's at 7%. It's really hard to meet that. Only about 400 households right now meet that criteria. This is going to bump it up. Over 600 people will see relief from this next year. But right now it is the time to do it, but there's not going to be too much of an impact. In the mid-2000s, probably sometime in the future is where you're going to see the impact when assessments are going up, when home costs are rising. The citizens will get the benefit, taxpayers will. but also the county, in that we're not going to have a bunch of money to be spending year over year over year. So it's kind of like a check on the county commissioners to make sure we don't get ourselves into trouble. So that's the gist of it, and I hope we can move it forward.
Is there anybody here tonight to speak against getting a little bit of a tax cushion? Nobody? Having heard nothing said against this, at any of the times this was spoken about, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Code Home Rule Bill 6-15. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jake.
I thought maybe you wanted to second that, sir. So it didn't take,
We're all on board.
at least we don't work like the federal government. It didn't take 6 years to do it, just 6 months.
Just 6 months, yeah.
Okay, our next item is another Code Home Rule Bill 7-15, tattoo regulations, and we have Brian Dickin and Misty Joy from the Health Department here to speak about this. This is something we heard about at a work session earlier.
Good evening, I guess. The Health Department's currently working to update the county's tattoo and body piercing regulations. The current regulations that we are working with now date back to the 1990s. And the proposed regulation uses a model practice code and focuses more on public health. And the trends in tattooing have changed so much that we need to update the regulations to meet these needs. And that's what we're asking the commissioners to do.
Commissioners, what you have for, this Brian is, I mean, what we have is we've prepared the bill based upon what was discussed at the work session. We've added some enforcement provisions, which the commissioners talked about. Actually took the enforcement provisions from the existing law, wrapped them into the new regulations. Today is introduction. Of course, we'll have a hearing in the next meeting and then can act on it after that. So gives people plenty of time to comment. It'll probably be on the website, and you all have copies.
We appreciate all your work on this.
Thank you. 'Cause
Brian, I know it's a long time coming.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you need a motion to introduce.
Yeah, do we have a motion to introduce this Code Home Rule Bill?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Taken care of. Thank you. Our next item is Braddock Run Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Phase 4 Wrights Crossing Pump Station contract.
Hello, Commissioners.
Sir?
We had bid the Wrights Crossing pump station upgrade contract, and we received 4 bidders, and would like to recommend award to Hickus Construction for $3,144,535. This project will be funded by grants and loans from USDA and MDE. We were fortunate MDE came in at the last minute and offered some money, so that was a nice surprise right at the end of right when the job was going out to bid. There is a loan associated with this project that at its completion, along with this project and some other ones that are done, will affect the ad valorem rate for that area, but that'll be a couple years down the road.
We're talking in general terms about the scope of the project, if you don't mind.
It's a significant upgrade. The pump station hasn't really been, there's nothing we've done to it since it was built, just regular maintenance. It was built in the 60s. This is new pumps, new screening, new grit removal, new controls, new HVAC, pretty much bring it from the 1960s up to the 2000s.
Okay.
So it should be good for another 40 years.
Very good. Just so everyone knows, this pumping station services all the Frostburg district and area. It's a huge area.
Yeah, it's our biggest pump station. It serves all Frostburg and portions of Allegheny County, Grahamtown, everything up in that area. Pumps up over the hill, then it flows by gravity down through LaVale, and eventually to the city of Cumberland.
And it has been a problem spot over the years.
It has been a significant
It's a
problem.
much-needed upgrade. Gentlemen, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Item number 10, ConMed Incorporated Agreement Renewal with Allegheny
Skip
County
Roy.
Detention Center.
Skip number 9.
Oh, number 9?
Roy, yeah.
Always forget Roy. Why is that?
Sorry, Roy.
Okay, we'll do Resolution 1517, fiscal year 2014-2019, Cumberland Area Transportation Improvement Program Amendment.
This is just a typical house cleaning resolution that we need to do to keep the transportation improvement program up to date, to be consistent with the grant funding that we're receiving. This doesn't really impact the local budget. It's shifting of federal and state funds because there's a different program being used to fund our ADA service. So that's.
Anybody have any questions on this?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Roy. You won't be forgotten again. Until the next time. Okay, now, Mr. Cutter. This is on ConMed Incorporated Agreement Renewal with Allegheny County Detention Center.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Commissioners. We have been with ConMed at the Detention Center for over 10 years now. They've provided us with excellent medical service for the population there. Each year, negotiations are a difficult task. Usually the budget's set prior to the negotiations being finished. The year was no exception. ConMed come in with a proposal based on the CPI in the area, and it was a little over 3%. We've negotiated that down to a 1% increase. So we're asking that the Commissioners accept the 1% increase and allow us to stay with ConMed Incorporated to be our medical provider at the detention center.
Any questions?
No, sir. Very good negotiation, Captain.
We offered to keep them housed there unless they brought their prices down.
Oh, okay. Well, good strategy. I'll make the motion then. We accept item 10. So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and then the Aramark Incorporated Agreement.
Yes, Aramark is the food service provider at the Allegheny County Detention Center, and they've been there for close to 15 years now. They were at the old facility with us. They transitioned to the new facility with us as well. And they also come in with a CPI request of about 3.5%. We negotiated it down to a 4.5-cent increase, which is slightly over a 1% increase. And just to give you a little idea on what they do out there, every month we serve 12,500 to 13,000 meals. And in a year's time, 150 to 160,000 meals. That's based on the inmate population. So they've done a good job for us. And again, we believe that a 4.5-cent increase is fair, and ask the Commissioner to support that increase and allow us to remove Aramark.
Thank you. Any questions?
Captain, what's in a meal?
The meals are actually, it's based on 2,700 calories a day count, and all meals are different. Breakfast meals, sometimes it's a couple hot cakes and some grits. Lunch could be a couple sandwiches, potato chips, macaroni salad. Dinner, there's usually some type of entree, whether it be a meatloaf, a pasta, some sort like that, and then vegetables and fruits.
God.
You're not interested yet?
No, not interested in the.
Well, I will go on the record for that. It is good. It is good.
My belly filled out there.
Oh my God.
Sir, I'll also make a motion. We accept item number 11.
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Are we still housing prisoners from, what is it, Carroll County?
Yes, we are, sir.
What's the total on that now?
We're running right now between 13 and 15 a month.
Okay.
Very good. That helps. So,
It does, definitely.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
3 hots and a cot.
Pretty good.
$6 a day.
It's hard to get a rental with your meal included. Okay, item number 12. Ms. Susan Lee, please. Federal Fiscal Year 2015 Emergency Management Grant Acceptance.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This grant is provided to us through the Maryland Emergency Management Agency to offset our program operating costs. It will be managed through the Department of Emergency Services, and it requires a 50% match, which will come through the Emergency Management's Division operating budget. So we request that the Board of Commissioners authorize the acceptance of the grant.
Are there any questions?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And item number 13, CBIZ Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act Checkpoint Dashboard Services. Mr. Westfall.
Thank you, Commissioners. One of the myriad requirements that Obamacare has imposed on employers involves monitoring, measurement, administrative, and stability periods, tracking hours of part-time, temporary, and variable hour employees, compliance with affordability standards, and now, this year, filing of IRS 1094 and 1095 forms. The CBIZ Dashboard Services, Checkpoint Dashboard Services software is a cloud-based program that provides continually updated information on all of these issues to minimize our compliance risk associated with meeting those requirements. It is provided at essentially a nominal fee. The first year fee is $2,545, including a one-time setup fee. The annual base fee is $1,045. So we think it's a very reasonable cost to keep us out of trouble.
And this is the way Mr. Obama has cut the cost of insurance, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So we got to pay to track people
Yes.
now.
Yes, sir.
Well, can we send the bill to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
I'll address the envelope myself.
Let me ask you a question. What's the penalty for not doing this?
There is a penalty per employee for noncompliance, and most of those penalties are in the $1,000 to $2,500 per employee.
Range.
Yes, sir. I'm not swearing to this particular fee, but they're in that ballpark.
Wow,
We want to be in compliance.
a gross overreach of power. That is just pathetic.
What do you really think?
And having had no comments on this, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Well,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're not going to track you, Creed.
yeah, I'm opposed. That's ridiculous.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I share your sentiments.
Thank you, Brian. I know this ain't your doing, so.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll move into our consent agenda. Mr. Everly.
Commissioners, on your agenda this afternoon, under consent, I have 8 items for you to consider. Item 14 is a motion to approve new appointments to the county's Local Development Council. John Sangiovanni will be replacing Dr. Raver, who recently retired, and Jason Bittinger, an employee at Rocky Gap, is being recommended by the facility as a replacement for Mark Alexander, who is now practicing law once again. And by virtue of last year's election, delegates Buckle and McKay are also to be appointed. Item 15 is a motion to reappoint members of the county's Board of Zoning Appeals to a 3-year term through September of 2018. Item 16 is a motion submitted by the Department of Public Works to purchase 4 vehicles on state bid from Hertrich Ford. 2 of the vehicles are for the county's Utilities Division, and 2 vehicles are for the county's Roads Department. All 4 vehicles have been budgeted for in the 2016 budget. Item 17 is a motion to authorize the scheduled public hearings and advertise for the county's long-range plan for our MPO. Item 18 represents the county's annual motion to authorize the commissioners to execute the community partnership agreement with the state of Maryland on behalf of our local management board. Items 19 and 20 are requests for travel on behalf of the Department of Emergency Services. And item 21 is a motion to approve a lease agreement with IBM to purchase a new server to support the county's shared incident reporting system.
I'll make a motion.
That server
to
hasn't been
accept
scrubbed already, has it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Dave, do you have any other comments?
Nothing further.
Bill?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's good. Jake, do you have any other comments you'd like to make?
No, just thank you for Jason Bennett, our finance department, for working on that homestead property tax credit. That's something good moving forward. We were at Mako last week. I was in classes most of the time, didn't even touch the beach. That's true. And so there were some on some financial stuff and some on medical marijuana, which caused quite a stir. And they basically told us that we're not telling you anything until the regulations come out and they're set in stone. So we got an overview, but for the specific stuff, it's kind of like the state's telling the county, just sit tight for another month or two, and we'll give you the details then. So that's all.
Very good, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir. Well, also, as attending the Mako conference, it was quite a different atmosphere this year. I've really noticed now that it's coming on strong. That's through several meetings with several secretaries, Secretary Gill, Secretary Ron. Most impressive. I think that we're turning a corner here. So it was good. The second thing, and just briefly, and I talked to Attorney Rudd about this just a little while ago, was the fire departments that approached us last week or 2 weeks ago by when the station goes defunct, how the money gets reappropriated and goes back into the pot and put back out. Now, as the attorney explained to me, next year now they'll go, not just next year, but every year it goes on per capita. But unfortunately, this one here hit in the middle of a year in their funding phase portion of it, and I do agree with what they said is the money should have went to the company that's covering the area, but that's neither here nor there. And the final thing I have to say on the subject tonight is, if or not, and it makes no difference to me because there's no direct money to me, if we do get the wind power and it does generate a revenue, which we know that it will, I'd like to see us earmark a certain portion of this for the local fire departments. And I had something in mind, gentlemen, of like 25% to our local fire departments and 25% earmarked for our teachers' pension fund that's going to be coming down the road, because it would give us somehow to fund these things for the next 20 years. 25% for the general debt obligation, and then somehow to work something into PAYGO, because we're, again, I'm not meaning to rattle tonight, but I've been thinking a lot today. You know, we're trying to grow our fairgrounds, which means we're going to have to relocate a utilities division building. We was fortunate enough to have money in the PAYGO account for the Sheriff's Department 2 years ago. We need to look forward to having some money there moving forward. I'm trying to get a revenue stream here without taxing the people. You know, I just don't believe in any more taxes. We need to increase our revenue through different areas, sir. So just something if you guys would consider, we could get together and talk about it later. I'd appreciate it.
I think it's wise to plan ahead on something like that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, for my comments, gentlemen, if you'll recall, back in February, we passed a code home rule bill to enter into a sales agreement with Peak Harvest LLC for the building back here in our industrial park. And this is a company that is moving forward, filing an application for the right to produce medical marijuana, which is a legal business in the state of Maryland. We've vetted that company from top to bottom. It's a very good company, very reputable company. They operate businesses such as this in three other locations. So I asked that we send a letter that be put in with their application. Basically, the letter states, the state of Maryland has passed legislation authorizing the use of medical cannabis for authorized patients who are subject to physician's care. Medical cannabis may be prescribed as an alternative to opioid treatment for patients who suffer from such illnesses as cancer, seizures, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The Natalie M. LaPrade Medical Cannabis Commission, working under the auspices of the State Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, is nearing completion of some of the most stringent policy guidelines in the nation to regulate the development, processing, and dispensing of various forms of pharmaceutical treatments utilizing cannabis. This letter serves as recognition of Allegheny County's support for the concept of developing and processing pharmaceutical cannabis here in Allegheny County by a state-approved license holder. Allegheny County recognizes the economic benefit to our region in the form of new jobs, extensive financial investment in our community, and additional tax revenues from payroll and commercial property taxes. As such, in February of this year, our board took formal action to enter into a lease purchase agreement with Peak Harvest LLC to acquire a piece of county-owned property. The property is located in a suitable location that meets the local land use regulations for the development and processing of medicinal cannabis and is supported by the Mayor and City Council of Cumberland. We feel that with the proper safeguards and by meeting all requirements and guidelines, medicinal cannabis can be safely developed and processed at a state-approved site in Allegheny County. This letter is meant to be entered into their application package. One of the requirements of the state is that the business meets all local codes and guidelines, which we sort of made that statement back in February when we entered into the agreement. I've already signed this letter, and I would appreciate the signatures of my fellow commissioners, and we'll take it from there. We'll get it to the proper people. Other than that, Mako, as Jake and Creed mentioned, is probably the strongest Mako event that I've had the opportunity to attend. Every secretary serving in the state of Maryland was at that conference, and they were very accessible to everyone. The Secretary of Transportation, which we all know the type of problems we've had with transportation, getting permits and all in this area over the past number of years. The Secretary of Transportation actually contacted me and asked if we would be available for a private meeting with him on Thursday at Mako. Now, we weren't the only county that he met with, but he met with other counties that had expressed that they had problems. In the past, it was rough for us to be able to reach out and contact anybody. In this instance, the new administration is reaching out and contacting us. So I think with the new administration, things are definitely moving in the right direction. With that, we have constituents' comments, and we have Mr. Wilmot speak on marijuana.
I'm Kenneth Wilmot. I live at 513 Ford Avenue, Cumberland, Maryland. I'm 79 years old. I was born in 1936. During the Depression, we had nothing. If you think Cumberland's bad, it was living in a depression is bad. And then came the war. Everything was rationed. If you wanted to have a beer, you had to go into a bar. And there's bars from one end of Front Street down to the end and down on Virginia Avenue. If you wanted some smokes or cigarettes, you had to go into a tobacco store. Today, it's just the opposite. Alcohol and beer is available on practically every corner of the street, not only in Cumberland, but all over the United States. Cumberland, Maryland used to be called the Queen of the Alleghenies. What happened to the Queen of the Alleghenies? It's no longer the Queen. I would not want to tell you what I think what our city is now. It is not what I grew up in. And I grew up, we didn't have to worry about somebody grabbing us off the streets, raping us, murdering us. fact, I think about the first murder we had in Cumberland was in 1954. It's been over 30 years before they had a murder. We can't say that today. Anyway, today, I read the most ridiculous article in the Cumberland Times newspaper. This guy, he's going to put marijuana out here on Bedford Road. Oh, no problem. All these regulations, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be just right. Well, let's look at our country today. Our government can't even control the borders. We've got millions of immigrants coming across the border. They can't even control the flow of drugs across our border. They can't control the flow of drugs across our state lines. They can't even control the flow of drugs into our prisons. Like they can't control nothing. So when it comes to growing pot and control it, it's non-existent. You're just blowing smoke in the air. I've been, you know, at 79, I've watched life go from one end of the screen, so to speak, beginning of the movie to the end. My end has come pretty soon. I'm 79. But I can tell you one thing, there's been some real bad decisions made. And this so-called medicinal pot, there's nothing medicinal about it. I haven't read a single medical article by any doctor or any institute that says it's beneficial. The only people who says it's beneficial are those people who went down to Congress and drug addicts to start with, oh yeah, I smoke pot and it relieved my post-traumatic distress and all this stuff. I spent 2 years in Southeast Asia. I didn't need no pot. I never heard of pot until about 1969. I talked to a few of my buddies in the Army, and they were buying a hand over fist in Vietnam. That's what happened. The Vietnam won the war. Plus, our vets brought all this stuff back with them. I think it's a bad decision. Our country is in a heck of a fix. And why you people would okay having them bring this stuff into our county, I can't understand. You just don't understand what problems are going to exist with this thing. I will not be here to see it. But I would almost predict in about 10 years from now, the Russians or the Chinese or some terrorist group, they're not going to have to fire a shot. All they're going to have to do is just pull up to the shores, start throwing out marijuana and heroin, and there they are. People come running, won't have to fire a shot. And that's my firm belief. Now, I honestly believe, why in the world would anybody want to smoke? If you give this little girl here, 9 years old, died from brain cancer. So we're going to give these children cannabis to smoke? We got 3 prisons out here, full of the most nastiest people in the world. And they didn't start out on heroin or meth. They started out on pot. Pot is no good for nobody. I've never smoked in my life, never drank in my life, never did drugs in my life. I don't need it. They don't need it. And I think what you really need to do is run these people out of town like they used to do on a rail and tar and feather them. We don't need pot. And I don't care what people say. It is not beneficial to anybody or anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll be bringing the meeting to a close. Okay, Commissioner McKay.
Thank
you. You got signed up by
Delegate.
your right-hand person.
Michael McKay, 407 Washington Street.
Start the clock.
Didn't matter. No, actually,
5 minutes.
Commissioners, I got some great news for you. So the Rural Counties Coalition, you guys had a meeting, I understand, at MACO. They did announce that there's going to be a Rural Counties Forum, November the 9th. That's coming up. The main speaker for that is the President of the Senate, Mr. Mike Miller. He's going to be the main speaker for it, and then there'll be a forum of other delegates and senators. However, I did find out 2 nights ago that Calvert County has now decided to join the coalition, so that's up to 16. Actually, I think it's 17.
16, I think. What that brings us.
We'll have to take our shoes off and count. But it was reported on the radio incorrectly that Frederick County, the paper, I never have to,
Fact check.
correct or anything like that, but I had to fact check.
Paper that fact checkers.
But anyhow, that being the case, it was reported that Frederick County was no longer a member of the Rural Counties Coalition. That is incorrect. They're actually looking to join the Large Counties Coalition as well as the Rural Counties Coalition, and I think any other coalition that they can
can
join.
only be one.
So,
Yeah.
trying to
You
get membership
pick.
and everything. So, good news, and that it is growing. And then I found out that because of the success of the Rural Counties Coalition, about the little entities not necessarily getting the respect that they get through the state of Maryland, the towns within Prince George's County, like Berwyn Heights, those type of small little towns are looking to organize because they feel that areas such as Greenbelt and Riverdale have been getting the lion's share of things. So it's an interesting thing how this all has changed the dynamics. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
Okay, our next public business meeting will be Thursday, September 17th at 5 p.m. There will be a press release detailing everything that went on at the MACO conference and the commissioner's involvement with that. And the government schedule is always posted online. There will be press releases with that. With that, thank you and good evening.